guys, welcome back to the show. It is your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and I am super excited to be here. All right, because we're having a very interesting conversation with regard to what exactly is happening to restaurants after the post Brexit immigration rules. All right, now that is what the conversation is about, and I am super excited to share my thoughts and opinions with you, and I want you to do the same as well. All right, so don't actually forget to get in touch with me and share your thoughts with me. All you need to do is just text me or call me on 07852473473. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how you feel about what we are discussing and why exactly, this might be a problem in the future as well. I mean, it's presently a problem. So would this be a problem in the future? Please, go ahead, get in touch with me, share your thoughts and ideas with me because I would love to hear everything that you have to say. All right. And before we actually head into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that all you need to do to get in touch with me, obviously, is to text me or call me on 07852473473. Share your thoughts, share your opinions, because I would love to hear everything that you have to say. All right. And obviously, don't forget to go follow us on our socials. Now, you can like us on Facebook, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And actually make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because that way you can actually make sure that you're always informed and you're always updated about all of these things that happen, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the world as well. Okay, so don't forget to do that. And something else that you can obviously do is to go download the app, because that's available for free on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And that will definitely help you stay informed and stay updated about everything that is happening in the world. Okay, and now let's actually head into our conversation, because we have to talk about how post-Brexit immigration rules have actually caused chaos at restaurants. Okay, now milkshakes are definitely off the menu at McDonald's in England, Scotland, and Wales, and that has actually left customers definitely not loving it. All right, because there were many issues in the supply chain. All right. Now, basically, what happened was, post-Brexit immigration rules pretty much changed everything, right? Now, the fast food chain has also been left without some bottled drinks across its 1,250 outlets in Great Britain this week. Okay, so it's basically understood that this is actually caused by a shortage of lorry drivers, and that was obviously owing to the post-Brexit immigration rules, COVID-19 restrictions, and even self-isolation guidance. Okay, so imagine, this almost reminds me of the broken ice cream machine case in McDonald's. You know how every time you go for a soft serve ice cream, they're like, oh, you know what, our ice cream machine's broken, we can't give you ice cream. Well, now it's not just ice cream, it's also milkshakes and other things, because we basically had what I refer to as the pingdemic. All right, where basically so many people got pinged by the NHS COVID-19 app, and a lot of people were required to self-isolate, right? So because of that, because of COVID-19 restrictions, obviously, at one point, there were these inter-district, if I'm not mistaken, there were travel restrictions between specific districts and whatnot as well. Okay, so obviously, in addition to all of that, and also, the post-Brexit immigration rules, things have really changed. Things have really changed for a lot of people, a lot of not just people, but obviously too, things have really changed for a lot of these fast food restaurants. All right, and obviously it's not just McDonald's, there are other fast food fast food chains as well that are suffering because of this. Right now, if anything, I want to talk a little bit about the pandemic, because remember when someone who you were in close contact with got tested positive for COVID, you were asked to self-isolate, right? And we know how that specifically resulted in a lot of staff shortage in jobs, and because of that, it basically disrupted entire industries, right? Because you had people being asked to isolate, and obviously when you're asked to isolate, it's not like you can say, oh no, you know what, I'm just going to go to work, because you could possibly put everyone else at risk as well, right? So obviously what happened because of that was that so many people had to stay back at home and not really go out and not really go to do their jobs, and that caused a lot of staff shortages, right? People couldn't deliver goods on time, they couldn't stack goods, there was no one to stack the shelves and make sure that these shops basically had everything that was demanded by the consumers and customers, because of these staff shortages, because of what I refer to as the pandemic. All right, now And obviously, in addition to all of that, after we have these post Brexit immigration rules, that has obviously changed a lot as well, right? Because we know how, we know that there are a lot of changes that are currently taking place with regard to the United Kingdom leaving, leaving the EU, right? So obviously, with regard to all of that, there is a lot of changes that are currently taking place. Now, the burger chain is in fact said to be working hard to actually restore those items that aren't currently there on their menu as soon as possible. Okay. Now, last week, Nando's was in fact forced to close about 50 restaurants because of chicken shortages. Okay. And KFC also said recently that supply chain issues meant that it was actually unable for them to stock some menu items. Okay. So a McDonald's spokesman actually said that the group is actually working hard to return these items to the menu. And he also said that, like most retailers, we're also currently experiencing some supply chain issues. And that has obviously impacted the availability of a small number of products. All right. So that is what it is about. Now, make sure you stay tuned because we're actually going to head into a small break. And after that, we will be back to discuss this further. But until then, make sure you stay tuned. Hi guys, welcome back to the show. It is your girl Sarah, and currently we're talking about how post Brexit immigration rules have basically caused chaos across restaurants. All right, just imagine going to Nando's to get some chicken, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we've run out of chicken, so you'll just have to find some other place to get chicken." I know it sounds hilarious and basically sounds like stuff in movies, but it's actually happening here in the United Kingdom. And that's obviously because we have these post Brexit immigration rules that pretty much changed everything for a lot of people, not just in the United Kingdom, but in fact the rest of yeah, definitely for mostly for the people who are in the United Kingdom, right? But basically it's pretty crazy if you think about it, because these past few years, actually there was so much of changes that happened. There was Brexit, there was a pandemic, then there was a pandemic, and then we basically had COVID-19 restrictions and whatnot, and that pretty much changed so many things and so many businesses and the way so many people work, right? And that's just the truth of it. So basically we're talking about how restaurants like McDonald's, KFC, Nando's basically had shortages in some of the items on their menu, simply because of simply because of everything that happened, right? So we're going to be talking about all of that, but before we actually get into that conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact be a part of the show. All right, so don't forget to text me or call me on 078-5247-3473 to share your thoughts, share your opinions, and let me know what you're thinking. Okay, and don't forget to go download the app either, because that's available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. And don't forget to don't forget to actually subscribe to our YouTube channel, and to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And now let's actually head back into our conversation, because we have so much more left to talk about. Okay, now bottled drinks and milkshakes are in fact temporarily unavailable in restaurants across England, Scotland, and Wales. Okay, so basically they apologize for any inconvenience that was caused, and they thank their customers for their continued patience. Okay, now the burger chain is in fact the latest firm in several sectors battling supply chain issues. So gaps on supermarket shelves are likely to continue for several months unless the government actually does more to tackle the labor crisis that is hitting haulage firms, and suppliers have actually warned the government about this, right? Now, recently I also saw this news article, right, where basically, some business firms were actually asking the government to let them take, prisoners, to essentially help them with this supply, with supply shortages, and helping with, putting stuff back on the shelves and whatnot, right? And the truth is, look, we're actually going through an economic crisis, so why not actually take the help of everyone we possibly can? Okay. Now, some manufacturers have actually reported sharp increases in the prices of raw materials, and obviously, the other thing is this, right? When you have increased prices in your raw materials, that means that sometimes you have to take certain items off the menu. All right, now this actually happened to a friend of mine. She does like all baked products and whatnot, and essentially what happened was things were so expensive that she basically took off a bunch of items from her bunch of items from her menu, because it was so hard for her to keep up with these rising costs. Okay, now the shortage of qualified HGV drivers that have obviously been worsened by Brexit and COVID has also left wholesalers unable to actually and get goods to shops. Okay, and these are just a few of the problems that are obviously there. Right now, logistics and haulers organizations said August would actually be a pinch point in the shortage as workers take summer breaks, while also firms offer bonuses and sign-on fees to recruit drivers were not actually helping matters. Right, so offering bonuses, especially when you're running out of money, is definitely not something that is going to help the company. Right, but obviously they don't necessarily have any other option as well, because if you want to recruit people during summer breaks, then you have to give them some form of benefit. Right now, business groups that represent the retail and transport sectors have been calling for the government to actually review plans not to grant temporary work visas to drivers from the EU. Okay, and lobby groups for the sectors affected have actually written to the business secretary Kwasi Kwarteng, outlining the lorry driver shortage and knock-on effect to supply chains. Okay, so they basically want a review of plans not to grant temporary work visas to drivers from the EU. All right, and that is basically what's happening now. Make sure you stay tuned, because we're actually going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to discuss more of this. But obviously, until then, make sure you stay tuned.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it?